Alright, it's chapter 2 of The Lieutenant by Kate Grenville. So we've got a little example of astronomy. Do you know there are days when I wait impatiently for night, unlike the rest of the human species? So there's his new mentor explaining their shared love of astronomy. And so he knows now he's in the right place, he's getting the right idea. It was a joke Rooke saw. The man was trying to put him at ease. So again, ASD or oddness. He's a bit different, he's a different kind of being. He was at Greenwich for 2 weeks and felt for the first time in his life that he was in the right place. So I'm highlighting this for knowledge because he's sort of developing a little bit of knowledge of self. He's starting to work out what's going on, what he thinks, what he values in life and where he fits within it. And then here what we've got is we're just keeping track more than anything on the use of italics because it's a really interesting stylistic feature. So when in doubt, if you see anything that's italicized, just underline it and put a little italic symbol next to it. And then there's also just an example of foreshadowing. So we're learning a little bit about New South Wales, and we know that he's going to end up in New South Wales as a result of what we already know about the book, I guess. He would miss his clever sister. She was the one person in the world with whom he had never needed to pretend to be something else. So at this point at least, his only true friend in the world seems to be his sister from what we've read so far. Obviously he meets Silk later. The red jacket with the braids and the regimental brass buttons. We draw a little image of the jacket because that's our motif, one of our motifs for the story. It was as pleasing as in its sequence as a sextant whose mirrors and slots told you where the sun was in the sky. So that's a nice little metaphor. As we've discussed before, his kind of connection to the world is often through astronomy and through language and things like that. Daniel Rooke, so clever he was stupid. Silk gave him a wry look and had already summed up his neighbour and forgave him. So people instantly recognise that he's a bit different to everyone else. Top of 22, Silk was disliked by no one. He was cordial, amusing and easy, always in the right place with just the right words. So that's language. Language is sort of a common element of Silk, and we often think that Silk is the voice of Kate Grenville herself because she wants to show off as an author, obviously, and sort of be impressive and use nice expression, but that's not necessarily Rooke's way. He's sort of usually quite limited to simple similes or metaphors related to the astronomical world, I guess, the sky. And then I've got this for knowledge. Basically, he learns about women, they go to a prostitute and so forth, and she comments on his size, and he said something like, it was glad that in life there was one thing that he was a natural at, so that's kind of a bit of off-colour characterisation, but it gives you a bit of an idea that, it's almost there to counter the oddness that he's presented with everywhere else. He's sort of not completely odd, he still has normal human urges and needs and wants and so forth. Top of 26, they were not the same as a horse or a gold watch, so he's talking about slavery, and he's sort of starting to work against the system and have different ideas. And then chapter 3, the lieutenant, but it was brought home to Rooke that mere words could have the power of life and death. So that's language, of course. 28, he could not look away, felt he had to be part of it. So I would probably put a little cog and describe how he's part of the colonial machine. He's sort of working as part of the enemy, even as he's sort of disgusted or disappointed by it. The crowd breathed a long sigh. Rooke tried to take a breath, but a shudder came up from deep within him and he heard himself moan. So that's sort of, I guess, maybe, let's highlight that for knowledge, shall we? So it's sort of his inner being is finds what's happening repellent or repugnant or disgusting. But he doesn't do anything, he suppresses that and he becomes part of the machine in so doing. For culture here, watching had not been a choice, but the spectacle was the point. So that was the whole point of it, that's why he's there, I guess. Rooke knew he would not forget, so he's gained knowledge of who he is and the disgusting part that he plays in the mighty imperial machine, as we've got down there. and also something he wished he had never learned. I've accidentally done it for friendship, but I should have done it in orange for knowledge, because that's the idea that he's learnt something really negative about the world. And then we've just got numbers. So his friends, sort of his primes, the numbers are his friends, which is really strange, but that's kind of how he lives his life. Again, we've got some interesting italics on 31, do not break the line. That's, again, we might do that for knowledge as well. That's sort of something that's been drilled into him. He understands he does not break the line when he's there firing and being fired upon. 32, this is death. He thought this is what death sounds like. So again, we've got an interesting italic and also some new knowledge. He's heard the sound of gunshots, people dying, people falling down. He got hit in the head as well. Lucky to be alive, so this is a simple dialogue one. That he's learned something new about himself. Anne's hand cradling this, the only thing that kept him from slipping away. So Anne sort of kept him alive, more or less, through her love and her kindness. 35, which has got some interesting italics for you to note down, but nothing really beyond that. And then, oh Dan, she would cry, what was the point of being hit in the head if it didn't give you the blessing of being as stupid as the rest of us? So she was kind of hoping that he would, become less clever and therefore better. And thank God for having such a sister, so friendship. And that's the end of chapter 3.